This is a response video um, to a response video that I did about the crucifixion of Jesus, wherein the guy says Romans would have never taken down the body. Yes, crucifixion was there for an open display of death to uh, make people think twice about revolting. That was the whole reason of crucifying so many people along the Appian Way. In fact, there's an account, I believe Josephus gives us this account, that there was a man walking along the Appian Way and he saw three of his friends. He said he paid for him to be taken down. The Romans took him down right away, and one survived. Two died, one survived. So we do have Romans taking down bodies for special issues. They would have never taken down the bodies is not an argument. Plus, what I did in the video is I pointed out how Judea, the Levant, let's just say, give a unbiased, Palestine, was a completely different situation, especially during the time of Passover, where the city of Jerusalem swelled, and you had these assassins walking around. You mentioned the Zealots and the Sicarii that I mentioned, and then you didn't do anything with it. What about the Maccabean revolt? What about the Bar Kokhba revolt? What about the destruction of the temple in 70 A.D.? These are all the events surrounding it, and not all of them are in the future. Jesus came in, the gospel gives us an account, and not many people know about it because the Maccabees were taken out of the Bible. Jesus came in on an ass, and they were laying palms in front of him. This was probably the most seditious act. Why? Because that's how Judas Maccabeus came into the city. The guy that forced conversion or death on all the Gentiles in the area. The Romans were like this with Herod. That's not how Herod was with the people. The people didn't like Herod, criticized Herod. There were factions, people warring over the temple. Not physically warring, but fighting over who should control the temple. And then we even have a whole group of Essenes that say the temple is corrupt. It's not, this is the place of spirituality. That place has become bad. You have all these messiahs and would-be messiahs popping up through the first century. You even had the Masada, the incident at Masada, when Jerusalem was at its max population. They didn't want a riot on their hands. So yes, not offending the Jews was a big thing. And guess what? The Jews were the one people given exception when it came to worshiping the emperor. So you saying that it couldn't have happened, well, we see it did happen in the case of the man buying the freedom of three people. And you saying it's unlikely, it was absolutely highly likely. And all the sources we have showed Christ is crucified. Now, in the the earliest versions that we have of Mark, there's no resurrection. But even in the Gnostic stories, where it talks about there being a Christ different from Jesus, escaping the crucifixion, laughing at the man on the cross, where they see no value in the crucifixion, that was just a dead body that the Romans thought they could kill. We always see Christ is crucified and taken down from the cross. There's never one piece of manuscript evidence or document evidence showing that Christ was left up on the cross to rot. In every account, he was taken down. The accounts you use are from either completely unrelated, hundreds of years before or after, and even for them, much later. I mean, you can't say that they're more historical than writings we basically have autographs of within 70 years of them being written. In all likelihood, the Romans would have taken the bodies off the cross. I think you know that. I think you need to research first century Palestine a lot more. It was a hotbed for revolt. Revolt happened just the century before, and it happened in the century after. Massive bloodshed war on epic scale. The Jews repelling the Assyrians, and Antiochus, the Seleucids, and then the Jews repelling the actual Romans and setting up their own religious state for many years under Bar Kokhba. And in between that time, you have destruction of Jerusalem and Masada, which basically almost take place at the same time. Masada being the remnant of Jerusalem thought. Uh, and there was a heck of a lot of there was garrison stationed in what is now Gaza. I think they called it Joppa back then. So yeah, it's more than believable that the Romans would have taken the body off the cross. Can you address first century Judea and why the Romans weren't scared out of their mind of the Jews, and why they did make exceptions for the Jews in not wanting to defend them by making them burn incense to their Roman emperor as a god. So it's completely likely that, hey, this crucifixion happened right near Jerusalem. Get those bodies off the cross. You talk about the hastily sped up. Oh well, why would the chief priest hand him over to uh, what's his name, Pilate, just to have it take down off the cross? He wanted him dead. Well, who did he care how they killed him? Did he want a body hanging in the violating Jewish law? No. Anyways, it's not necessarily the priests that the Romans feared. The priests were in the pocket of the Romans, basically seen by many people. That's why you had all these other factions, at least four that we know of. And as you said, the Zealots and the Sicarii had with knives in the folds of their cloaks and would be basically the suicide bombers. Yeah, they're going to be sensitive to needs. It's the same thing with Jerusalem today. That's why there's no Jews allowed up on the Temple Mount, so they don't piss off the Muslims. And I'm sorry, you didn't make your case. All the evidence shows that, yes, they absolutely would have gotten the bodies down.